Every storm has a blueprint, and every silence has a secret. Right now, you're in a place you didn't ask for. A place where prayers bounce back like echoes in an empty room, where effort feels like pushing water uphill, where the future is a locked door and God won't hand you the key. You're in the desert, and you're not alone. Let me tell you what the desert really is. It's not punishment, it's not abandonment, it's a system reboot. See, most of us don't realize we've been programmed. Programmed to chase, programmed to perform, programmed to believe that speed equals progress and silence equals failure. We've been running Egypt's operating system our entire lives. Status, validation, control. And God is saying, I need to wipe the hard drive. But here's my question for you. What if the thing you're calling a setback is actually a setup? Drop a comment. I want to know. Moses spent 40 years in the desert, not because he was weak, because he was infected. But before we talk about the desert, we need to talk about the palace, because you can't understand what God was erasing until you understand what Moses absorbed. Moses grew up in Pharaoh's palace, the most powerful empire on earth, gold on every surface, servants at every door, power in every word. And here's what nobody talks about. The palace wasn't just a place, it was a drug. Every time Moses walked through those halls, his brain lit up. Every time someone bowed, this is how addiction works. Not just to substances. The palace taught Moses that his value was measured by his position, that his identity was tied to his title, that love was conditional on performance. In the palace, you are what you achieve. You matter because people know your name. You exist because you're seen. And Moses absorbed all of it. Deep into his bones, he learned to speak with authority, to move with confidence, to command the room. But underneath all that power was a quiet, gnawing fear. The fear that if he stopped performing, he'd stop mattering. That if he lost his position, he'd lose his worth. This is the Egyptian virus, and it doesn't just live in ancient palaces, it lives in your brain. Right now, you wake up every day running the same code, checking your notifications before you check your soul. And every time you see that red dot, your brain rewards you. Every like, every comment, every view. Your brain doesn't know the difference between Pharaoh's applause and Instagrams. It just knows, I was seen, I matter. So you keep posting, keep performing, keep curating a version of yourself that gets the fix. And the whole time, your body is in fight or flight mode, stress flooding your system. The feeling of being hunted, because deep down you know the truth. The algorithm is Pharaoh, and Pharaoh always demands more content, more engagement, more view, until there's nothing left. Can I ask you something? When was the last time you went a full day without checking how many people saw you? Without needing proof that you matter? Think about it. Comment below if this hit you. You feel successful, but you're exhausted. You look put together, but you're falling apart. You post the highlight reel, but you cry in the car. You've got the degree, but you hate Mondays. You got the promotion, but you're still anxious on Sunday nights. You've got the followers, but you feel invisible. You got the relationship, but you're lonely in it because Egypt taught you that rest is weakness, that silence is failure, that if you're not climbing, you're dying. So you keep running, faster and faster, chasing promotions you don't want, chasing relationships that drain you, chasing validation from people who wouldn't recognize you at the grocery store. And the whole time you're wondering why you feel so hollow, why success tastes like sand, why achievement feels like drowning. It's because you're running Egypt's code, and Egypt's code always ends the same way. Burnout, breakdown, collapse. Moses tried to save his people using Egypt's methods. Force, violence, ego. He saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave, and something in him snapped. He looked left, looked right, saw no one watching, and killed the man. This wasn't just murder. This was Moses trying to solve a systemic problem with palace logic. I have the power. I'll use the power. Problem solved. But the next day, when he tried to break up a fight between two Hebrews, they turned on him. Who made you a ruler and judge over us? Are you going to kill me like you killed the Egyptian? And in that moment, Moses realized something terrifying. He wasn't the hero. He was infected. He had spent 40 years in the palace, and the palace had wired his brain to believe that power solves problems, that control creates change, that violence is strength. Here's what I want to know. What's the Egypt you're still running from? Is it the need to control everything? The need to be right? The need to win every argument? Comment Egypt if you know exactly what I'm talking about. So God did what he always does when someone is ready for their real assignment. He removed the stage, turned off the lights, deleted the audience, and sent Moses into the one place where none of his Egyptian programming worked: the desert. Now here's what most people don't understand about Moses' 40 years. It wasn't one long, smooth transformation. It was a descent, a rewiring, a death by 1,000 silent days. Most people talk about the beginning, the shock, the disorientation, the anger. God, I was supposed to deliver my people. What am I doing out here watching sheep? And they talk about the end, the burning bush, the calling, the breakthrough. But nobody talks about year 20. Year 20 is where most people break, because year 20 is where nothing happens. No visions, no voices, no signs, just sand and sheep and silence. Let me paint you a picture of what year 20 feels like. Moses wakes up. Same tent, same wife, same flock. He walks the sheep to the same field he walked them to yesterday, and the day before that, and the day before that. He sits under the same tree, eats the same bread, watches the same sun set over the same hills. And his brain, his palace-trained, validation-addicted brain is screaming, "This is meaningless. You're wasting your life. You're 60 years old and you're a shepherd. A shepherd. You were raised in a palace. You were educated by the best minds in Egypt. And now you're watching sheep eat grass all day." This is the voice of the ego. And in year 20, it's relentless. Because the ego needs new. It needs progress. It needs proof that you're moving forward. The ego cannot survive year 20. Because year 20 has nothing to offer it. No applause, no achievement, no evidence that you matter. Can I be honest with you for a second? Are you in year 20 right now? Same apartment, same job, same struggle, same prayers that feel like they're bouncing off the ceiling. If that's you, type year 20 in the comments. You're not alone. And here's what's actually happening in year 20. Every day that Moses doesn't get the hit of significance, his brain is being rewired. The old patterns that said, "You matter because you're seen," are breaking down. The pathways that fired when he was praised are dying. Scientists call this brain change, your brain's ability to rewire itself. But it's not gentle, it's brutal. Because the brain fights change. It clings to the old patterns, like a drowning man clings to driftwood. So in year 20, Moses is in a war. Not with Pharaoh, with himself. Every morning, he has to choose. Will he believe the old story that he's wasting his life? Or will he trust that something deeper is happening? Most days, he doesn't know. Most days, he just survives. He tends the sheep. He eats the bread, he goes to bed, and wakes up the next day and does it again. This is year 20, and this is where the ego starves. Slowly, painfully, inevitably, because without the palace, without the platform, without the applause, the ego has no food. And when it finally dies, something else wakes up. Your soul, the part of you that doesn't need to be seen to exist, that doesn't need to achieve to have value. The part of you that can sit in the silence and not panic. Moses spent year 20 learning how to be nobody. And that's why God could eventually trust him to lead a nation, because he was no longer hooked on being somebody. Here's what I need you to understand. The boredom you're feeling right now isn't wasted time. It's the most important part of your story. Your ego is dying. And that's exactly what needs to happen. If you're in the boring middle right now, drop a fire emoji below. Let's normalize the in-between. And if you're in year 40, the burning bush is coming, not because you've earned it, because you survived it. You're not forgotten. You're being prepared. Every unanswered prayer is teaching you trust. Every closed door is protecting you from Egypt. Every silent season is rewiring your soul. God isn't punishing you for the palace you came from. He's resetting you from it. He's deleting the need for applause, the addiction to validation, the belief that you only matter if you're trending, the fear that you're behind everyone else. And when the reset is complete, when Egypt is finally erased, when you can sit in a room alone and feel whole, when you can be unseen and feel peace, when you don't need the platform to know your purpose, He'll open the door, not because you earned it, but because you're finally ready to carry it. Because God doesn't need you loud, He needs you reprogrammed. He doesn't need you impressive, He needs you free. He doesn't need you famous, He needs you faithful. One last question. If God called you tomorrow right now, as you are, would you be ready? Or is there still Egypt in you that needs to die? Be honest. Comment below. Every storm has a blueprint, and every silence has a secret. Yours is being written right now. If you felt like the only one in the desert today, you aren't. There's a whole community here reading the same blueprint. If you need a seat at this table, subscribe and join us. We don't have all the answers, but we know the one who does.